welcome back. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. If you're seeing this in the new year, this video is way overdue because I've been busy doing some exciting things in the background, like planning new workshops and doing online events. And if you're interested in doing art workshops online, then feel free to write to me and I'll connect you to all my upcoming events through my newsletter. And yeah, let's begin. Today we are talking about my most frustrating and favorite topic, which is color theory. And the most interesting thing about color theory is, scratch that, welcome to my personal version of color theory for beginners, because no one can ever agree on anything that they talk about. The vocabulary for color theory gets confused. Some art schools talk about it in one way, other art schools talk about it in another, and I did a lot of research. It was very frustrating for me going through the learning process of color theory and actually getting to the bottom of it and understanding it properly. And I had to go through so much kerfuffle. You know, it's just buried. It's just buried from my experiences. It was never clear. So my version is going to be going back to the basics, explaining it in a really simple way. I'll be busting the myths of the vocabulary and the misuse of it, and also clearing up any misconceptions. And lastly, at the end of this video, I'm going to start with one very basic exercise. It's well known, but very useful. You don't even need to have any experience. All you need to have is curiosity and an open mind, being able to just let yourself lose yourself in the exercise, because it can become quite meditative once you push through that initial frustration and confusion, because there are some steps and I'll break them down for you as clearly as possible. Alright. Okay, let's begin. So I am just going to show you the basics of color theory. It's something that I did with an online student about 5-6 years ago now, and we were just going through the basics, and the basics are the three primary colors, three main colors that are considered to be most pure, that are red, yellow and blue, and that's based on old school traditional color theory. I would swap this for a magenta pink, and consider the purity of your colors, any medium that you use, whether it's oil, acrylic, watercolor. If the color isn't pure, it will create a muddy brownish purple rather than a nice vibrant purple that we all love so much. To create secondary colors, you have to have two primary colors mixed together. So red and blue makes purple, green is blue and yellow, and then we have a nice mid orange by red and yellow. And the next step for this basic color wheel would be creating the in-between colors that are called tertiary colors. And tertiary colors are created by primary colors and mixed with secondary colors. So I made this kind of scheme with triangles, and the triangle with the pencil would be the primary colors, the triangle with the pen would be the secondary colors, and the colors in between the primary and secondary are the tertiary colors, the colors that are on a scale closer to the secondary or the primary. So like a dark bluey purple or a dark deep green. Moving on to the technical things that I said that could be quite confusing is the vocabulary. So the first thing, I'll go with the fifth one, The value. The value shows a scale from the lightest to darkest, like shadows and midtones in a painting, but that can be recreated by using the following vocabulary. Here you can see shade, you add black to make a darker color and to dilute it. Tint, you add white and you make a lighter color like that of the same hue. So color, another word for color is hue, H-U-E. And then we have tone. So this in some art schools would be considered incorrectly, but this shows the tonal value of a color in the same scale, going from light green or yellow, almost yellow, to a dark green. And that's how you can also build value. And this is where the confusion comes, because technically a written terminological description of tone is strictly adding gray to a color rather than a scale from light to dark of the same color, the monochromatic scale. So please be careful, because this was the mistake I didn't realize I did. But this is good that I have it here, because this is the main misconception for tone. Saturation is adding neutral colors, which is black, white, gray, and brown. And earthy colors, the colors that are considered to be the colors of land, is brown, green. Okay, now that I have explained to you the vocabulary, I really recommend you do what I do now and write it down, so you can copy it from the screen. I'll write it in front of the camera, and you can even pause it and take notes if you haven't been doing so already. I do recommend this because people really underestimate how much writing physically on a piece of paper really helps your memory skills and helps you retain the new things that you learn. So we're going to start with the first one, the hue, number 1. I hope you can see that. Hue. Another word for color. For example, blue, green, and red, right? Now, number 2 is value, a monochromatic scale that goes from light to dark, e.g. white to grey to black. Don't know, I always get confused if grey is with an A or an E, don't judge. Next we have tone, adding grey to a color. 4, we have tint, which is adding white to a color. And 5 is shade, adding black to a color. Lastly, 6, saturation, saturation, adding neutral or I'm trying to figure out how I should do this. Okay, or earthy colors. Okay, so neutral is gray, black, white, and gray, black, white, and brown. So brown actually is considered to be neutral and earthy, which is why it's in both categories. Brown and green. Okay. Sometimes people misunderstand blue to be a earthy color or nature color, but you have to remember this is specifically for land colors and landscapes. So saturation is the purity of color, and by adding these colors, how do I do this? I'm just going to connect it all like this. Adding these colors is called desaturation. Purity of color. So saturation, and this is the impurity. Impurity of color. Sorry. I hope this actually helps. I'm gonna just, let you pause here so that you can write it down, and I hope you can actually read my handwriting. Hey, you can even screenshot this, it's okay. Oh god, if your head is spinning and you're feeling overwhelmed, you're not alone. This is also confusing for me still to this day, and I've been teaching this for years, and every so often I check my notes, I check for updates, because sometimes in the art world things get updated, terminologies get changed, and you just kind of have to keep up with things. And lastly, if you don't remember everything, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. The more you do this, the more you go over the terminology, the more you remember it. And even if you get frustrated, keep going forward, because that is literally your brain creating new neural pathways, and creating neural pathways takes time and repetition, which is why your teachers in schools always repeated things to you until you remembered it, and it annoyed the hell out of you. And I know this because I was one of those students who got really annoyed about everything being repeated, because I knew it off by heart by, I don't know, the end of the month or something. So humble. Stay humble. Don't complain, okay? I have the right to complain for all the years of torture, all this color theory. You're too young still. Or perhaps not. Okay. Moving on to the last and final part of this video. The exercise that is far more useful to you in familiarizing your color palette, and this example is especially useful for watercolor, because this will include a specific kind of observation that happens with neutral and earthy colors when you mix certain colors together. And that is part of the exercise and experiment that we're going to be creating. The experiment is to literally create this kind of graph of your color palette. This is my favorite pastels, and it's a really nice bright color palette. There's an even amount of cold colors and warm colors, and I'm not going to get into that yet. I'll explain that more fully later when we get to this part. But to be able to understand this, we have to do this. And how we do it is So step by step, how we actually do this exercise and why you should do it, why is it important, and how long it's actually going to take. Getting to know your color palette, regardless of the knowledge that you might or might not have on color theory, it's important because to get to know your color palette is to understand how much you can actually do with it and all the possibilities you might have. On my color palette, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 colors. If you're very traditional, you will have 6 colors, or very professional, you'll have 3 colors, which will be the main primary colors. So you want to do a 13 by 13 grid, and with watercolor the reason is because white should be in this corner, and this will be the tonal value of your color palette going from white to black. And how you do this, you do the original colors on the side and diagonally in the middle. I kind of messed up because the grey should have been last technically, or at least it should have been before yellow, but never mind that. The most important thing is that you have these 3 established. The squares are centimeter by centimeter, and it's 13 by 13. Now, I made notes, so hold on with me here, because this was another exercise I did recently this past year, or over last year, 2025, with a student, and we got kind of derailed because we didn't know what color should go first. With the middle, it's easy because it's literally the same color, you don't have to mix anything. But how I created this system to make it as easy as possible for you is the XY methodology borrowed from maths. X is horizontal, Y is vertical, and horizontal colors. On this side, top side of this diagonal half, you will put the top color first and the second color on top of it. So yellow, yellow, orange, yellow, red, yellow, pink, yellow, etc. Now in the y-axis, you do the same thing, but you do not paint row by row, you paint column by column. You're just swapping which one's first on either side. And interestingly enough, there are some discrepancies, but for example, the blue reacted differently. Even if I added the same amount of water, same amount of pigment of the watercolor to mix for the blue, it reacted slightly different. And it's really interesting because it also creates a darker scale and a lighter scale. Now we also have cold and warm colors, and if you look at the red and pink, you can take note of which hue is actually creating a warmer color and a colder color. So you're just overlapping and checking it. Tell me what you think. Is it the pink that's cold, or is it the red that's cold? And you can say the same for the 2 different blues. And comment in below what you think of neutral colors, so based on my color palette. And the exercise, you can do this on your own and actually have questions. I will read the questions out now, and you can have your own observation of your individual color palette. So before you even create this, you want to look at your color palette. For example, it's a different color palette than this one, but you want to observe how the colors are. Is it a warm color palette, do you think? Is it a cold color palette? Is it a bit of both? And afterwards, you want to see if your observations by eye were correct based on this experiment, and how well did these colors mix. So some of these colors look a little bit grainy, and I will explain that in the next video too. And of course, how do the colors differ from the top side to the bottom side? And you know, you can even look at each corner and write your own little observations like I've written here. So I'll read it out for you. Watercolor palette is Faber-Castell's. I love the bright colors and the pastel muted ones mixed with grays. It's really, really earthy, really calming. I love pastel colors, and mixing them with the bright colors. I guess this is why I chose this color palette, because it has all my favorite things put together. And the palette is warm and the greens are so vibrant. Okay, as this time lapse begins, you can see I am doing the sides and the middle exactly the same. What I like to do is wet the color palette first with a little bit of water and keep it as even as possible, so when I mix the colors it's 50-50. And before I even put the colors on the grid, I literally just put a little drop in the middle, then I add an equal amount on top and just mix it on the paper. Some people like to do it a little bit differently. With the top side that I'm doing now, you can see I'm adding the top color and then I'm adding the side color on top, so it's nice and easy. This does take time, so I would recommend that you take lots of breaks. You don't have to do it in one sitting. It took me 3 sittings. I was watching a movie and generally just walked around in between, had a snack, had some to eat, stretched my arms out, because you know, keeping your arm up can get tiring. So no pressure, there's no pressure with this at all. Just try to pay attention of how you do it. Just a reminder, I was putting the top color on first and then the side color, and it's the same for this bottom half, but instead of working in rows, I'm doing it in columns, so it's nice and neat. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have enjoyed this video, if it has been helpful to you, if you went through all the emotions that I went through, with ups and downs, with all the color theory misconceptions and vocabulary and all this whole color theory world craziness, which is only just the beginning, please hit that button of like and subscribe. Share it with other people that you feel that would benefit from this, and I wish you a wonderful day, evening, morning, wherever you are. Take care of yourself and Happy New Year.